What's up, guys? Once again, it is MP4Podcast.com, bringing you guys some of the most interesting video game news that you guys really do need to know about. Now, the developer of Flappy Birds is making $50,000 a day on Flappy Birds. Can you imagine that? On Android and iOS devices. I have to say something. This is really good news. Why is this good news? Because this game is going to show other developers how to do free-to-play correctly. Now, you're probably saying, well, Flappy Birds is a basic game. What Flappy Birds is using for their business model is in ads. So maybe you'll see an ad for another app. Sometimes these apps are $2.99 in the store, or what, $5, or sometimes there are even other free games. And on iPhone, Apple has their own ad service, and it's called iAds. And on Android, they have AdSense. So it's just like YouTube, how ads are just randomly generated and so on. Like you'll watch a YouTube video, or if you're playing one of these games on Android or iOS, they're just random ads. And it has nothing really to do with the developer after the developer puts the game on the App Store. What I don't like are games where they nickel and dime you to death to keep on continuing and playing these games. A lot of these games are like the RoboCop game, the new Batman beat 'em up game, Injustice, even though I kind of do like that game. A lot of times you'll have these virtual characters, and you know, if you're not doing that good, they'll run out of energy, and then they have to kind of like rest for 30 minutes or so before they can, wake out of. Basically, they have to go to sleep. And yet, after half an hour, they wake out of bed. It's like, hey, I feel really good, Hey, time to play again. It's that type of thing. But if you don't want to wait, rest your virtual character, then, Warner Brothers is like, hey, how about you give us $5? You know what I mean? We'll pump some steroids into the Flash, the Green Lantern, and the other characters or whatever. But I don't like that business model. I kind of really do like, the ad model. One, it doesn't cost me anything, and sometimes I'll check out the other, these other apps and so on. Sometimes it'll be a free game, or sometimes it'll be another game for a couple of bucks. It helps other apps. Meanwhile, it helps other, developers. This business model, so that's a good thing. And also, I want to say, I also really don't like that other free-to-play model where it's kind of like the Injustice one, but a lot of those farming games where you have to dig coins and you have to get coins to build this, do that. That's also insane. And I remember a news story, which was a couple of years ago, and I believe it was when the first iPad came out. The Smurf video game, which is a kind of like a farming simulation game. That game, some mother had it on her iPad, and she let her kid play it. And it's like, hey, it's the Smurfs, right? The kid charged up like $3,000 or $1,500. I can't remember how much this mother was charged. She talked to Apple. I think they refunded her money and so on. I don't like that business model either. Those games should be like $5, whatever. Just charge whatever it is. Maybe you can, have two models where you sell one for $2.99 and maybe it has like ads, kind of like Flappy Birds, and then if you want to get rid of those ads, and then you can pay an extra $2. You know what I'm saying? But I'm really happy for the developer of Flappy Birds, because this is the developer that's showing other developers, hey, there's another way to make great games. And Angry Joe talked about this on his iPad Star Trek game, and Boogie talked about this in a video called A Love Letter to EA about the Dungeons game, and so on. And people say, hey, the arcade was free to play. The problem with the iPad, for that matter, is that the iPad it's always with you, or your Android tablet or something like that. It's in your house. Free to play back in the 80s mean you either had to go to the mall or the pizza shop to play these games, and eventually you were going to leave. So maybe you blow $5 at the arcade or something like that, but then you go back maybe a week later. It wasn't like you had the machine in your house all day long. Imagine having an arcade machine in your house back in the 80s that you did not own, and you had to pay every time you wanted to play it. Okay? Just imagine that for a second. Would that drive you crazy as a kid in the 80s or the 90s? But anyway, guys, this has been MP4Podcast.com signing out. If you enjoyed this video, then please give me a like, as it does help out the video quite a lot. If you're new to my channel, hit that that subscribe button, as I'm always making new videos all the time. And let me know what you think about Flappy Birds, and what do you think about the business model? Because this developer is making $50,000 a day, and it's a free game, and this app is actually helping to promote other apps, which is kind of cool because it's helping to promote other developers. The only thing I have to say is I wanted to help the right developers. Okay, we need to fix this free-to-play model because it actually has ruined some of the great games that were coming up a couple of years ago for iOS and Android, and now we just have a little bit too much of this lousy free-to-play model. But once again, guys, this has been MP4Podcast.com signing out. You guys have yourself an awesome day. Later, guys. Bye.